Hello, everyone. I am back because I want to tell you all about the design session that I just had with my company. It was so much fun. We had at least 50 people that joined the session, and we gained so much feedback like, so much feedback. It's going to take us some time to go through all of those, all of the feedback. But there were ideas that came up that we had never even considered. There were scenarios that we hadn't even thought about. And there were ideas that validated some of the ideas that we originally had, which was really great to hear because it helps us to know that we're on the right track. And so I realized that I hadn't told you all how to go about conducting one of these sessions at your organization. So I just want to lay out a blueprint for that. So, if you're trying to conduct a company-wide design session with your organization, you've never done it before, the first thing I would suggest that you do is to run the idea past somebody. Maybe it's your manager, maybe it's an executive at your organization, maybe you run this idea in a team session, in a team meeting. A great place for you to let people know what it is that you're trying to do. And then once you get that buy-in, then of course you got to send the email out. So send the email out to your organization. Make sure you figure out what email group you need to email so that it can go to everyone, so that you're not trying to, manually put all the names in the email box. But make sure that you send that email out. And when you send that email, you want to include what the session is going to be about and what the Zoom link is going to be. I'm going to be talking about from in a remote setting. And so you don't necessarily have to go into detail about every single activity, but what you do want to let people know is that this will be an interactive session. This will be a feedback session where you're expecting them to give their input. I find this to be very important because if you think about it, a lot of meetings that have a whole lot of people in it, that, anything more than like 10 people in a meeting, a lot of times it's quiet when you try to give feedback. So a lot of times people think that, okay, this is a company meeting. I'm just going to come. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to put my screen on, have my camera, that type of thing. But that's not what this session is about. And so you want to set that expectation even in the email. So then you want to start prepping for the event. I like to have a team with me. So in today's session, I had a UX researcher with me and my product owner. And they both were there with me side by side, helping me out, helping me figure out what the logistics should be. We talked about what our goals should be. What is it that we're trying to understand and learn? And, they were there with me right there, side by side. You also need to think about what tools you will need in order to make this a success in an online environment. So our tool of the day was Mural, Mural, in case you've never heard of it. But it's a great collaborative tool that you can use for conducting sessions with a lot of people. There are also other tools such as Miro, Jamboard, and also FigJam. Those are also great tools that you could use for collaboration. So what I did was I created an initial mural board, and then I duplicated that board for all of the breakout rooms that I would have. I will also say that you should at least create a couple of extras just in case more people come to the event than you considered. Now, another thing that you have to do is make sure that you have a good place where you can direct people to get the link for the mural board. So it could be done with just one singular link. Maybe for me, I created a document, and in that document, all of the mural boards were linked. And so all I had to do in the chat was send a link to that one document, and then people were able to grab the mural board that correspond to the group that they were interested in joining for that day. So the logistics are extremely helpful. It will make your session run a lot smoother if you handle some of those things ahead of time. Now, today, once I woke up, first thing I did was checked everything again. Make sure my slide deck looked good. I made a couple of changes to the slide deck. Make sure that I, check the mural links again. And then after I did all of that, I restarted my computer. I've been working so hard for the past couple of days that my computer was screaming at me. So I did restart my computer. But if you're going to restart your computer, you want to make sure you do that a little bit in advance, because you don't want, updates and all of that to start happening. And it's like 5 minutes before your meeting. So restart your computer in enough time that once it reboots, you'll have enough time for your meeting. Another thing that I did was I joined the meeting early. So I joined the meeting, I think it was at least 15 minutes early. This allowed me to go ahead and set up the breakout rooms, to also get my sharing down packed, to also talk to my colleague. We also realized we hadn't put the timestamps in the slide deck. So I made sure I added that to the slide deck before the session started. Being on time is extremely important, because sometimes technology does fail. It might be just the day that, you try to open up Zoom and for some reason you need to add a permission, or I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong with technology. So, we want to be in that meeting in enough time that we'll be prepared. During the session, it's really important to be mindful of time. Try to keep a sense of how much time is left. Make sure you have a clock right next to you, or that you're paying attention to the time on your computer. You want to give reminders to the folks that are inside of the breakout rooms and let them know how much time they have left. I found that it is a great practice to allow your colleagues to be able to report out. There have been a couple of times when we've done these sessions and we didn't allow enough time for the report out, and it felt like it was something that was missing. And so you want to give at least 30 minutes, or depending on how much time you have allotted or how many groups you have. You want to give some time for them to at least report out, say a couple of things that their group did, show the mural board or whatever tool that you're using. It's also a great practice to record that. So I would suggest that you record the beginning when you're giving your intro and you're explaining what everything is, and then record the end when everyone is reporting out about whatever it is that they did inside of their groups. After everything is finished, of course, you want to go back, read through what people had. You want to analyze that data and really be able to synthesize and come up with what your next steps are when it comes to building out your product. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thanks for sharing this day with me. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope that something I said today will be helpful to you. Have a great day.